The towering cedar trees atop the mountains of Lebanon were the pens that wrote the destiny of the Phoenicians. These trees were so remarkably strong that the ships built from them defied the fierce waves of the Mediterranean. It all began with a voice lost among the dusty pages of history, beyond written history. The masters of the sea lay quietly in wait. With the launching of these vessels into the sea, history's first true seafaring people emerged. The Phoenicians were not a single empire, but a series of interconnected giant port cities. Tyre and Sidon were like impenetrable fortresses built upon the sea. These ports became the first great metropolises where goods, languages, and cultures from across the world blended together. The heart of maritime trade beat here. And the wealth of Phoenicia flourished within these harbors. Tyrian purple, obtained from sea snails, was more valuable than even gold in the ancient world. This special color was produced through the laborious processing of thousands of sea mollusks. Over time, this color became an indispensable status symbol for kings, emperors, and nobles. The greatest secret of Phoenicia's economic power and wealth lay hidden in this unique purple dye. But Phoenicia represented not only trade, but also an impenetrable defense. A circular waterway leading to the center, with a small island in the middle where the admiral was positioned. When the enemy entered, they would find themselves facing a massive fleet. This was strategy written in stone and water. The Cothon Harbor, rising in Carthage, was the most advanced military engineering marvel of the ancient world. From the outside, this circular harbor appeared to be a quiet trading center, but inside, there were secret hangars housing more than 200 warships. According to legend, Phoenician merchants discovered glass by chance while lighting a fire on the beach. Turning this coincidence into a magnificent craft, the Phoenicians became one of the first peoples to succeed in shaping glass by blowing. Transparent glass vessels, elegant vases, and colorful beads became the most sought-after luxury goods, everywhere from the Mediterranean to Mesopotamia. Glass craftsmanship proved their aesthetic sense and commercial intelligence to the entire world. They were drops of light spreading to every corner of the Mediterranean. This was the greatest proof of how the Phoenicians mastered the elements of nature, fire, and sand. Now we turn our camera thousands of miles away, across the Atlantic Ocean, to the rainforests of Mexico. While the Phoenicians were shaping glass, the Olmecs, a major culture of the Americas, were rising to prominence. They were carving colossal basalt rocks to erect mysterious 20-ton statues and developing complex calendars. While the Phoenicians navigated by looking at the stars, the Olmecs used those same stars to build their pyramids. Two different worlds, with one shared curiosity: the sky. Meanwhile, in the east, in the heart of China, the Zhou Dynasty reigned supreme. This empire, which proclaimed the sanctity of governance, with the concept of the regency of the heavens, was laying the foundations of philosophy and social order. While purple-dyed fabrics adorned kings in the west, an empire of silk and wisdom was rising in the east. Varsalan met in history was like a gigantic machine beating, unaware of each other, but at the same pace. They set aside complex hieroglyphs and cuneiform scripts to create the first alphabet, consisting of only 22 letters. Thanks to this revolutionary invention, reading and writing moved beyond the monopoly of palaces and reached the common people and merchants. The foundation of the modern alphabets we use today was laid with this knot tied by Phoenician scribes thousands of years ago. The Phoenicians did not just build ships, they also learned to read the language of the sea. They were the first sailors to find their way during night voyages by following the North Star, known at the time as the Phoenician Star. Their double-rowed galleys, the biremes, provided both agility in war and high capacity in trade. This technological superiority made them the undisputed sole masters of the open seas. They were the only people who dared to cross the Pillars of Hercules, known today as the Strait of Gibraltar, which was considered the end of the known world. They fearlessly ventured into the fierce waters of the Atlantic Ocean, circumnavigated the African continent, and reached the British Isles to trade in tin. For them, the horizon was not a limit, but the beginning of a new world waiting to be discovered. These courageous expeditions changed the geographical knowledge of antiquity forever. Carthage, whose foundations were laid with the exile story of Princess Dido, soon reached a power that would overshadow even its mother city, Tyre. This new city rising on the North African coast became the most magnificent fortress of the Phoenician spirit and commercial genius. Carthage was not just a colony, it was the new master of the Western Mediterranean and the center of a massive empire that would rival Rome. This rise ensured the spread of Phoenician influence throughout the entire Mediterranean basin. One of the greatest strategic battles in history took place before the city of Tyre, which was considered impenetrable. to capture this island city on the sea, Alexander the Great achieved a massive feat of engineering by building a causeway from the shore to the island. This relentless siege, lasting for months, was not just the fall of a city, but a historical turning point where the Phoenician city-states began their physical decline. With this event, the absolute dominance of the ancient world over the seas began to change hands. Even though the Phoenicians have withdrawn from the stage of history, their indelible footprints still remain in every letter we write today, in our maritime rules, and in our global trade system. They were the first true global civilization to connect distant lands. Their courage, intelligence, and cultural legacy continue to shine like jewels embedded in the foundations of the modern world. Although the masters of the sea are gone, we touch the legacy they left behind every single day. The ancient world was far larger than we imagined, bound together by invisible threads. From Phoenicia to America, from China to Africa, humanity built with the same unwavering determination. In the next episode, we'll explore the great turning point where these civilizations met. Don't forget to subscribe and join this vast journey.